Welcome to the Configure Price Quote Podcast. My name is Sohn and I'm the founder of CPQ Consulting. This podcast is 100% focused on Configure Price Quote, also known as CPQ, and will provide you useful insights into this topic. Today I want to talk to you about a topic that is currently very relevant for many Salesforce CPQ customers. The Salesforce CPQ end of sale announcements and what it may mean for organizations using Salesforce CPQ today. This is not intended to create alarm. It is also not the recommendation to stay with Salesforce, leave Salesforce, or move in any specific direction. Instead, I want to look at this from a neutral CPQ market perspective and ask a practical question. What should Salesforce CPQ customers be thinking about now? Toward the end of this episode, I will also ask for your help. I'm currently running a short LinkedIn poll to better understand how Salesforce CPQ customers, partners, and the broader CPQ community are responding to this announcement. My goal is to get at least 150 responses, with input from existing Salesforce CPQ customers are especially valuable. But first, let's look at the topic itself. The most important point is this: end of sale is not the same as end of life. End of sale means new customer can no longer buy Salesforce CPQ licenses. Existing customers can typically continue to use and renew their current environments for now. End of life would mean something different. It would mean that support, updates, or availability are being discontinued at a specific point in time. Customers should not assume an official end of life date unless Salesforce publishes one. So this is not an immediate operational crisis, but it is a strategic signal. It tells the market that Salesforce's new customer motion and future innovation are shifting toward the newer Revenue Cloud and Agentforce revenue management direction. That creates what I would call a planning clock. Not an emergency clock, but the planning clock. For existing Salesforce CPQ customers, the right question is not necessarily, do we need to move tomorrow? The better question may be, what decision process should we start now so we are not forced into a rushed decision later? That matters because many customers are not simply asking, should we stay with Salesforce or leave Salesforce? The more practical question is, what type of project are we about to start? For many organizations, especially those with customized Salesforce CPQ environments, the move from legacy Salesforce CPQ to the newer Salesforce revenue architecture may not be a simple lift and shift. It may look more like a redesign or a re-implementation project. Legacy Salesforce CPQ came from the Steelbrick acquisition and has been widely used as a managed package inside Salesforce. Many customers know the familiar concepts: quote-centric process, product rules, price rules, quote line editor, approvals, renewals, amendments, and custom quote documents. The newer Salesforce direction is different. It is aligned with the broader Salesforce platform and appears to focus more on the full revenue lifecycle. Not only quoting, but also contracts, orders, assets, subscriptions, renewals, and downstream revenue processes. That can be attractive. For the right organization, it may create an opportunity to modernize revenue operations, reduce technical debt, clean up product and pricing data, improve governance, and align CPQ more closely with the broader Salesforce platform. But customers should also validate what this means in practice. Different architecture may mean different skills, different data structures, different administrative patterns, different implementation effort, and sometimes different answers to legacy requirements. This is especially important for companies that have used Salesforce CPQ for many years. Older CPQ environments often include complex pricing rules, custom scripts, approval logic, ERP integrations, renewal process, custom quote documents, partner workflows, and reporting dependencies. For those customers, the question is not only whether the new Salesforce revenue architecture can support CPQ. The question is, how much of the current environment should be recreated, redesigned, simplified, or retired? That is why I believe the end of sale announcements creates a natural reassessment moment. Not because everyone needs to leave Salesforce, not because everyone needs to migrate immediately, but because many customers may face a meaningful project either way. From my perspective, there are 4 legitimate paths Salesforce CPQ customers may consider. The first path is to maintain. Some customers may decide to continue using legacy Salesforce CPQ for now. That may be reasonable if the current solution is stable, business requirements are not changing significantly, and there is no urgent need to modernize. But even then, customers should monitor roadmap risk, support availability, internal skills, partner availability, and the cost of maintaining the current environment. The second path is to rebuild in Salesforce. For organizations that are deeply committed to Salesforce as their revenue platform, moving towards Revenue Cloud or Agentforce revenue management may make sense. This can be especially relevant when the company wants stronger alignment between CRM, quoting, contracting, ordering, assets, subscriptions, renewals, and revenue process. But customers should validate scope, cost, timeline, feature fit, data migration, and administrative complexity. The third path is to evaluate adjacent CPQ solution. Some organizations may look at specialized CPQ vendors, especially when they have industry-specific complexity, like manufacturing requirements, ERP dependencies, pricing challenges, or channel selling requirements. The question is not whether these options are better in general. The question is whether they are a better operational fit for a specific company. The fourth is a hybrid strategy. In this model, Salesforce remains the CRM system, but CPQ may sit outside Salesforce and integrate with Salesforce, ERP, pricing, product data, or downstream systems. This may be relevant for companies with multiple ERPs, multiple sales channels, complex manufacturing requirements, or a desire to use a specialized CPQ layer while keeping Salesforce as the front office platform. None of these paths is universally right. The right answer depends on the business model, product complexity, technical debt, operating model, ERP landscape, internal skills, cost tolerance, and risk tolerance. That is why I would be careful with overly simple recommendations. Just migrate may be too simple. Just replace Salesforce CPQ may also be too simple. And do nothing may be comfortable in the short term, but risky if the organization does not understand what it is postponing. So what should Salesforce CPQ customers do now? I would suggest 4 practical steps. First, inventory the current Salesforce CPQ environment. Document your product rules, price rules, approval logic, quote templates, custom scripts, integrations, reports, renewals, amendments, contract process, and known pain points. Many companies do not have a clean view of what their CPQ environment actually does. Second, separate true requirements from legacy habits. Some things in the CPQ systems are real business requirements. Other things are historical exceptions, workarounds, or habits that may no longer be needed. If a company simply recreates every historical exception in a new system, it may carry old complexity into a new architecture. Third, compare options using the same scenarios. Customers should evaluate the Salesforce path and alternative CPQ options with the same realistic use case. For example, configured products, pricing exceptions, approvals, channels, channel quoting, ERP dependencies, renewals, amendments, and lifecycle process. Scenario-based validation matters because demos can look good until real-world complexity is introduced. And fourth, build a staged roadmap. Not every organization needs a big bang migration. Some may maintain for now. Some may run a pilot. Some may rebuild one business unit first. Some may re-platform gradually. Some may pursue a hybrid architecture. The important point is that the roadmap should be deliberate. It should not be driven by panic. But it should also not be delayed until urgency removes good options. So my main message is Salesforce CPQ end of sale is not an immediate crisis, but it is a meaningful strategic signal. For existing customers, the right response is not automatic migration and not automatic replacement. The right response is structured reassessment. Look at CPQ fit. Look at technical debt. Look at lifecycle requirements. Look at ERP integrations. Look at internal administrative capacity, and look at total cost. The organizations in the strongest position will be the ones that start this assessment early while they still have options. Now, this brings me to the LinkedIn poll I mentioned earlier. I'm currently running a short LinkedIn poll to better understand how the market is responding to the Salesforce CPQ end of sale announcement. The poll asks how organizations are thinking about their next step. Are they planning to move to the newer Salesforce revenue architecture? Are they evaluating other CPQ solutions? Have they not made a decision yet? Or are they planning to do nothing for now? My goal is to get at least 150 responses so the results becomes more useful for the broader CPQ community. And I would especially like to hear from existing Salesforce CPQ customers. Votes from consultants, system integrators, vendors are helpful too because they see the market from different angles. But customer input is especially valuable because it tells us what organizations using Salesforce CPQ are actually considering. The poll only takes a few seconds. You can find the link in the episode description, and I also posted it on my LinkedIn profile. Once the poll closes, I plan to share the results and my observations with the CPQ community. So if this topic is relevant to you, and especially if your organization currently uses Salesforce CPQ, I would really appreciate your participation. That's it for today's solo episode of the CPQ podcast. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for listening and hope you learned something interesting today. If you like the podcast, please go ahead and rate it on iTunes or share it with your friends and colleagues. In the meantime, you can find us online at www.novocpq.com. So long, everyone.